blast off. All right, so today's lesson is going to be over stem and leaf plots, and we're also going to go ahead and talk about histograms while we are at it. All right, so a stem and leaf plot. Oh, I don't know why I just really like stem and leaf plots. I just think because it sounds, I don't know, a different type of graph. Okay, anyways, so a stem and leaf plot is a way to display numeric. Numeric means that it has to be numbers, right? Numeric, let me zoom in a little bit for you. All right, numeric data. Each data value consists of a stem and a leaf. Hence the word stem and leaf plot. Okay, so before we go on about talking about stem and leaf plots, when I hear the word stem and leaf, what vision gets popped into your head? Yes, sir.
A stem with multiple leaves.
Right, but what vision, what picture just popped into your head when I said stem and leaf? A flower. A flower popped into my mind. That's exactly what I have. I have a stem, and then off of that stem is leaves, right?
A tree.
A tree, right? Anyways, so you have a stem, and then you have your leaves. That's how I'm going to picture this, is I'm going to have my stem, and then off of my stem is going to be my leaves. So your stem and your leaf, the way I'm going to do it is my stem, for example, if I had the number 25, okay? My stem is going to be my tens value, okay? It may end up being my hundredths value or whatever. It just depends on the data that you have. So my stem is going to be a 2, and my leaf is going to be a 5. So I use a stem and leaf when I have a lot of numbers that are going to be in the 20s, a lot of numbers that are going to be in the 10s, a lot of numbers that are going to be in the 30s, and so forth. Okay, so a 2 with a line and a 5. Always, 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 there will be a key when it comes to a stem and leaf. If you're making a stem and leaf plot, you must have a key, because that's going to tell you exactly what the stem and the leaf is. So a 2 with a line and a 5 is going to mean 25. And that's important because maybe it could mean 2.5. Right? So you have to make a key. Very, very, very important that you make a key. And I'm going to highlight this because the key is very, very, very important in a stem and leaf plot. All right. So we're going to use this data down here. We're going to use this data to make a stem and leaf plot. All right, so I notice I've got 29, 25, 33, 44, 23, 30, 21, 32, 25. So I have a lot of numbers that are around in the tens value, right? So I'm going to write my word stem and leaf. Now I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to make my stems. I always do my stems first. Okay, always important to do my stems first. So I'm gonna look, I've got a 2s, I got 3s, I've got 4s, and that's about it. When I make my stems, very important, eyes up here so you can hear. Very important that my stems must go in order, meaning I cannot skip. I can't skip. If I'm gonna start with a 2, then I have to go in order. I have to go 2, 3, 4. I can't, oh, I don't have any 3s, so I'm going to skip 3 and go 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to go in order. Okay? So this would be 2, 3, 4. That's as much as I need to go. I don't need to continue on. I don't need to do 5 and 6. If I needed to, if I had a 50 or a 60, then I would write that. All right. So I've got my stems. Now comes writing my leaves. Now, I'm going to recommend that when you write your leaves, you do it in a pencil. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. So I've got my stems, right? And I have them in order. Now I'm going to write my leaves. So I have a 29, so I'm going to write a 9. 29, right? Then I have a 25. If you're writing your notes in a marker, do not write these numbers down. Only if you have a pencil. And then I have a 33, a 44, a 23, a 30, a 21, a 32, and a 25. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That way I didn't forget any numbers. Okay, pretty easy making that stem and leaf. Now the next thing that I know I have to do is I have to put my leaves in order from least to greatest. So this 44, that's good. 30s, I need to switch these around. That's why I use a pencil. And I've got to have it 0, 2, 3. See how I put them in order from least to greatest? So I'm going to write this down here. Stem and leaf needs to be in least to greatest. So I'm going to write that down because I know I need to remember that. That's very, very important. All right, so I'm going to come up here to my stem, my 2s. And I think I'm gonna have to do 1, 3, 5, 5, 9. So I erase this. And I'm gonna do 1, 3, 5, 5, 9. Now, it's real common for someone to say, well, I already have a 25, so I don't need to write it twice. I have to write it. So however many leaves I have, that's how many numbers I'm going to have. Yes, sir, ma'am.
Why don't you rewrite it down from least to greatest and then write it on?
Absolutely. You most definitely can write my data from least to greatest, then put it in the stem and leaf. You absolutely can, because that's what I've been telling you to always put your data in least to greatest. Absolutely, I can. And that would probably help you so you don't have to do erasing and things, is putting this data in order from least to greatest. Then you already know everything's going to be in order from least to greatest. Then we said we have to make sure that I have a key. So I'm going to say, and it doesn't matter what number you choose. You could say 4, whatever. It doesn't matter what number. I'm just going to choose my first one. 2, 1 means 21. So let me ask you a couple of questions, because we talked about this when we were talking about box plots. With this particular graph, not given the data, but just this, could I find the mean? Yes, because I know my values and I know how many, right? Could I find my mode? Okay. Could I find my median? Yes. Okay. Could I find my range? Yes, okay, I'm just making sure, just having that conversation there. All right, so stem and leaf is pretty easy, isn't it? Yeah? And so if I needed to, sometimes I may even have a stem and leaf where my key is like this. What do you think that's gonna mean? 101. So I might have 9, 10, 11, 12, and maybe I have a numbers like this. I have no 111s, but I have, so what do I have? What numbers would be in my data?
90, 92, 101, 124, 125, and 126.
Do I have any 111s? No, good, okay.
So you can't even skip the number even if there's nothing there.
Right, there's no 111s, but I can't skip it because this has to be in order. I can't say, oh, I don't have 111s, so I'm just gonna skip that. Or 110s or whatever. So I can't skip that. I have to still write it down. I just don't put anything in the leaves. I don't put a 0 because that would tell me that I have 110, right? So I just leave it blank, but I have to have it there. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is histograms. All right, a histogram is a type of bar graph. So it looks a whole lot like a bar graph. There's only 2 things different with a histogram and a bar graph. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what those 2 things are. So it's a type of bar graph whose bars represent the frequency meaning how many times something appears, of numeric data within intervals. So the big thing about a histogram is that they do it by frequencies and intervals. And the graphs will touch. And I'm going to tell you why these graphs will touch. All right, so here I got a little example. Jane counts the number of ducks she sees at the lake every morning for 12 days. So she's seen 7, 2, 3, 1, 2, 6, 3, 10, 1, 7, 9, 8. Okay, so I'm going to do these ducks in intervals. They've already kind of started me with my intervals. Your intervals always have to have the same numbers. Like I did 1 through 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 4, right? So I'm going to go from 5, 6, 7, what?
8.
To 8, right? Then I'm going to do, what's my next number after 8? 9, 10, 11, 12. That's going to be my intervals. Does it always have to be in 4s? No. Could it be in 10s? It just depends on what your data represents. Okay, so I'm going to do my frequency a little bit different than what these tell me to do, because this is the way, to me, is a whole lot easier. All right, I'm going to make a tally mark every time. So I've got a 7. What interval would that fall in? 5 to 8. So that's there. And then I've got a 2 would go there. A 3 would go there. A 1 would go there. A 2 would go there. A 6 would go here. 3, 10 would go here. And 1 up here. 7, 9, 8. Does everybody see how I did that? Makes it so that I don't forget any numbers and I'm just making my tally. Then I'll go back through and actually write the number. So how many times did 1 to 4 ducks appear? 6. What about 5 to 8? 4. And 9 to 12? 2. Okay. So that is my frequency, right? That's the number of times 1 to 4 ducks occurred. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go and make my histogram. So I always have to make sure my labels, so I'm going to highlight those because I need to have a title. My X and my Y is always labeled. Always, always have labels. I will count off if you do not have labels. I am not a mind reader. I cannot read your mind on what your X and your Y values are. All right, so I'm going to first do my frequency. And again, I'm just going to do it, looks like I just do it in 2s. Looks like it's good to me. And then I'm going to do my ducks, and I'm going to do it in my intervals. So I'm going to do 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12. And then I'm going to make my bar graphs, just like I did before. 1 to 4 was 6. So come all the way up there. All right, and then I can shade this in, so pretty. Now, this is the difference. Because they're intervals, they back up to each other. So I have to make sure that these graphs touch each other, okay? There's no COVID here. There's no 6-foot distancing. So 5 to 8 is 4, so 4. 9 to 12 is 2. So it looks a lot like a bar graph. The only thing is that these numbers are in intervals, whereas with a bar graph, these are single, and then that these touch, right? Still read it the same way. This would be a 6, this would be 4, this would be 2, right? All right, let's look at some other examples. The total number of cupcakes sold in a fundraiser is shown in the stem and leaf plot below. Which statement is best supported by the data in the stem and leaf plot? All right, I notice here that they did not put a key, so I'm going to write a key here. So I have my key. All right, the range of number of cupcakes sold is 27. So we're talking about range. How do we find range? The greatest number minus the least number. Okay, so my greatest number is 37. My smallest number is 12. Is this right? No. All right, so I'm gonna mark that off. The range of the number of cupcakes sold is 19. We've already figured out the range. Is 19 the same as this? All right, perfect. The most common number of cupcakes sold is 15. So that means that 15 has to occur the most. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 15 occurs 4 times. Here's 2. So it looks like that occurs the most often, right? So I'm gonna put a question mark just because it does seem like that's good. The most common number of cupcakes sold is 30. Well, 30 was only sold 1 time. So that is not the most common. 15 is the most common, so there we go. Easy peasy. All right. The dot plot shows the number of lollipops sold in a candy shop. Which stem and leaf plot best represents the data in the line plot? All right. So I've got to go and take all these numbers and change it into a stem and leaf. I want you to do that now. So I'm gonna make, myself would make my own stem and leaf plot without looking at my answer choices. So I've got 21, 22, 22, 24, 25, and what's great is these are already in order, right? And then I've got my 30s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then a 33. All right, now I have my own stem and leaf, right? Yes? Now let's see which one. Got 21, 22, 22, 24, 25, 25. Oh, well, look at this. This isn't right here, right? That's not right. There's no 2 26s. All right, let's go to B, 21. Then they have 1 22, but I actually have 2 22s, so that's not right. So this one starts at a 1. We don't even have any 1s, so that's going to eliminate it. So 21, 22, 22, 24, 25, 25, 26. Okay, that one's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, there we go. Correct answer is D. Pretty easy, isn't it? You have a question? No? All right.